There are moments that challenge what we think is possible, that defy the odds and our expectations. Those moments are what we at MU Health call yes moments. And they're changing the face of cardiovascular care. One breakthrough discovery, one advanced treatment, one miraculous outcome at a time. Yes makes it possible.
Good morning. Welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, June the 16th. Our singer, songwriter, storyteller, Larry Brown is with us. Good to have you here, Larry.
Good morning.
And here we are. This is Father's Day week and weekend, and you have a Father's Day story for us.
Yes,
right?
I do. Yes.
Okay. And this is a true story.
Everything that I will tell you today is true.
Okay. Is it personal?
And it's personal.
Okay. So I won't say any more, except here is Larry Brown with a very personal, special Father's Day story.
Now, in traditional aspects of culture, the father is always to train the son up into how to assume manly roles and take the responsibilities of adult male. And that's true in many societies. And you know, we go through those phases, particularly in our culture, where, you know, when the son is young, the father knows everything and can do everything. And then the son gets a little older, and then the father gets, you know, stupid. And then when the son gets a little older, then the father gets wise. You know how those generational things flow. Well, I want to tell you a bit about some of my experience of the role of father. Now, my father, of course, was a model for me, and now, as I look back on it and say how many good things that he shared with me, how many things I've learned. And of course, I wonder now about my son and my grandson. Will they ever look at me that way? And so maybe telling these stories helps me anticipate the future. It was 1972, 73. I and my family were living in Indiana, and I got interested in cave exploring, wild caving, spelunking, and belonged to the Central Indiana Grotto and National Speleological Society, and was learning everything about caves and how to explore them. And I was taking youth groups into caves in Indiana, and my son Jeremy was about 6 or 7 years old, and I was taking him into caves. Now, I was careful to teach him all of the safety and understanding the natural environment of the caves. And he had his own equipment, his hard hat and his outfit, and I did everything as safely as one could, given it was just father and son on some of these adventures. I remember once we were in a cave where for me to negotiate the first part of that cave, I had to bend over. It was a backbreaker. In fact, they even called it the backbreaker. Or you had to crawl. But here he was just walking along perfectly fine, you know, just the right height to maneuver. Well, we had many adventures. We moved to Missouri in about 1975, and I got re-involved in cave activity here, belonged to the Shoto Grotto, and was doing some of the same thing, taking youth groups into caves, and even a couple of years taught caving in the 4-H program. And my son Jeremy, a little older, was also going in caves with me. There was a cave in Boone County. We went into Rutherford Cave. I remember once we were kind of inching our way along the wall on a tiny little ledge, and I was assisting him, and I slipped and fell off into about chest-deep water. And there was my son hanging, clinging to the wall, panicking. You know, I was able to stand up and help him. Well, we had other adventures like that, and I was trying to impart to him, again, safety and carefulness, to enjoy the natural environment and do all those things, and hoping that what I taught, you know, was a benefit to him. Well, jump ahead 10 years. Now he's older teen, and he's doing some cave exploring on his own with his friends. I got an invitation from a friend of mine to go visit Fitton Cave down in Arkansas in the Buffalo River National Riverway, and we got permission again from the national parks to unlock the gate and to go into it. Well, there was a group of 5 of us, and Jeremy went, and a couple of his friends were a part of our group. It was a cold, rainy, awful November 2-day period we chose to go. But we were scheduled to go, we had to go. We got down there and it was horrible and rainy, and we set up camp near where the cave would be, and finally gave up and went into the nearby town of Jasper to get something warm to eat, some pizza. So the next morning we were ready to go. Well, the cave is fantastic. It's perhaps the longest cave in Arkansas, about 18 miles of mapped passageway, and beautiful. In fact, one of the names for it is Beauty Cave, seeing helictites and flowstone and a tremendous waterfall. We spent about 8 hours in the cave, and this included over our lunchtime. And one person was doing photographs, and it was a great time. But toward the end of the day, I began to wear out. I had failed to remember that it was just a year prior to that I had suffered Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I was not yet physically repaired from that, still recovering, and I was just out of energy. It took us about 4 hours to get to the back of the cave, and we're going to have at least 3 hours to get back out. Well, I was just struggling and slowing down, so I dismissed 3 of the group to go on ahead, and Jeremy, my son, stayed with me. But it got worse. There was one point we had to scale up a little kind of a ledge and get over it, and I couldn't do it. Jeremy had to find his way up and then pull me up on top of that little ledge. Well, as we got back toward getting out toward the entrance, here's one of those long crawls where the ceiling is very low. And you can get up on your hands and knees sometimes, but sometimes you just have to get down. And I just did not have enough energy to do it. And I remember saying to Jeremy, just leave me here. I've got to rest. I've got to recuperate. Well, you can't do that in a cave. The issues there are hypothermia, for example. Well, Jeremy knew that. Jeremy had been with me in caves where we were submerged in water up to our necks. He knew about these things. And so he kept saying to me, Dad, have you got enough water? Dad, have you eaten something? And I'd say, yeah. So he would make sure that I was eating and getting water. And I would crawl a little further, and then I would just be so tired, and he stayed with me. And I know I kept asking, how far is it? He says, oh, we're almost there, almost there. Well, he talked me out of that cave. And I could say, without exaggerating too much, he did save me. And I was able to say, look at how the roles of father and son have reversed, where the son was instructing the father, or maybe those instructions that came as a father to the son were coming back in their best way, in a mutual care.
What a beautiful story, Larry. Got a beautiful story for Father's Day, and I thank you for sharing that with us and our viewers and our listeners. And I hope you have a very happy Father's Day, and everybody out there, if your dad's with you, tell him you love him and spend some time with him. Have a happy Father's Day. What I remember most about my dad, when I was young, he would tell me these things, and I thought, oh, man, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And then he does.
He does. My goodness. He said, someday when I'm dead and buried, you'll realize that what I said was true, and my goodness, how many times this comes back now. If people want more information, Larry Brown, you're...
Brownstory.com.
Brownstory.com. Larry Brown, thank you so much. And happy Father's Day to you. And tell Jeremy that we wish him a happy Father's Day, too.
All right.
All right. That's it for today. We'll see you Monday, Greenhouse Theater Project. Bye-bye.